In this video, we're going to talk about what it's like being an ergonomic specialist. So, simple day in the life, what I do on a daily basis doing ergonomic evaluations. So, I specifically do home office evaluations. I started off by just taking a course, and I actually have a course. If you're interested, I'll put it in the link below. I do a full course on how to do office evaluations, how to do marketing for it, how to do remote evaluations. But what do I do on my daily basis when doing evaluations? So, what I do is, first of all, I have to do marketing beforehand. So, I'm usually reaching out. This could be going into an office location and just asking them if they have anybody that does their ergonomics for their compliance for OSHA. In the state of California, it's required to have some sort of safety assessment or risk assessment done by an ergonomist, especially if someone is at risk for it or if they're requesting it. That's something that has to be done. So most people in California want there to be some sort of ergonomic specialist in the field or their company that can kind of address these simple issues. And if you work somewhere, most likely that they need some sort of a risk assessment to be done, and you could actually be that person. So that's the first thing you have to do. You just kind of have to market yourself. This can be by just getting a simple business card and going from place to place. So that's number one is I focus on marketing. I have a website where in my local area, people, if they are interested in ergonomics, it's going to have my name on it. If they Google ergonomics in the city that I'm working in, my name's going to come up. Now, for me, it usually ends up happening where people are just reaching out to me. They say, hey, somebody at my office injured themselves recently, and they send me an email, and I follow up by asking for that person's email and setting an appointment or time to meet with them. Then what I do right away is I send a questionnaire. I just email them directly and I have them fill it out. It's just a simple form that I have on Google Forms where they answer all these questions. I actually have this on my course as well, where it asks them, is your office chair too low or is it too high? Are your feet flat on the floor when you're working in the office? So it has like all these questions. It kind of goes through um, their situation. It also asks them like what the risk factors are, what pain they might be experiencing. I don't use the word pain. I use the word discomfort because I don't want to really have them share their diagnosis with me because I'm not trying to treat their diagnosis. I'm just trying to fix their ergonomic setup. So that would be number two. I just do a questionnaire with them. I try to figure out what their ergonomic setup is and kind of just to get an idea of what I'm getting into before I meet them in person. And this helps me to kind of have an idea of what kind of equipment needs they might need. It just kind of gets me thinking in the back of my head, like what I need to set up. It's not mandatory that they do the questionnaire, but it's so much easier if they do the questionnaire first. Now, step three is where I actually meet the person. This could be over Zoom, it could be in person at their office, usually is at their office. And so, what I'm doing is I'm taking a list of all the questions that I need to ask them, which is going to be on my course. And I'm going to go through all those questions to pretty much evaluate their whole office setup. So, I'm just going to through like chair height, desk height. I'm checking to see if they have dual monitors or single monitors. And then I'm also making recommendations based off those things so I can kind of fix their current setup right there. And what you're kind of doing the whole time is you're trying to figure out the root of the problem. So if they're having wrist pain, that could be associated to their keyboard, to their mouse. It could also be as just associated to the position of their desk because you want their wrist to be straight. So there's so many factors that kind of play into this, but you're trying to figure out what is the root problem. It might be from they had a recent surgery or something like that. Maybe they injured themselves while at work. So you could just kind of address that issue by trying to make the activity easier. You could have them use mouse with the left hand. You could have them have a more ergonomic mouse. But I'm also going through everything, right? So I'm focusing on the root problem, but while I'm there, I'm going to fix everything else. I'm going to make sure their feet are flat on the floor. I'm going to make sure their elbows are at 90 degrees. I'm going through everything to make sure that they have a proper ergonomic evaluation. And then I'm definitely going to be addressing those key problems. Now, after the evaluation is over, it only takes like once you get really quick at it, it only takes about 25 to 30 minutes. You go home and it's nice because you can kind of just think everything through. You have you don't have to kind of answer everything for them right on the spot. And it seems like a lot of the time I get a lot of the answers to the problems that I'm solving for them after I go home. It's like you have to go home and just kind of think about it for a few days sometimes. Usually it's within the next like couple days that I get everything finished, but sometimes I'm just going to be like thinking about it in my head, like what else might be able to help this person to kind of problem solve. So they're going to have a better ergonomic situation at work. So they're going to have less pain or fatigue or whatever they're going through. So that's step three. Step four is going home and writing up the report. It's pretty simple. You're just going through your evaluation. You go through everything that you talked about with the patient, all the information that you provided, all the recommendations that you gave the patient. You're pretty much painting the picture on how you kind of corrected their problem at work. And then you also address the problems that are still persisting. And what you're going to be doing at this point is you're going to be talking about what your recommendations are going to be. So if they're going to have like a better chair, you're going to recommend a better chair or a better desk setup. Maybe they need a new mouse. Maybe they need a monitor stand to so the monitor is in the correct position so they don't have neck pain leaning forward. You're just going in to address all these problems and come up with a list of recommendations. And that's where I just kind of write up the assessment. I put all the problems in, I put in all my recommendations. And then if sometimes I will actually do an assessment with these patients and I go over that in my course as well. So I don't have enough time to talk about that now, but the assessment is just giving a score for the patient so they can know like how much remediation is needed for the patient to be able to function without pain at their current job. So I write up the report. I usually email it to the person that requested the evaluation. And then you ask if they have any follow up questions. Sometimes I will say it's important that when the person gets the equipment, that I go in and do a separate evaluation to make sure that everything's in the right place. That's a good way to get your feet in the door for like a follow up visit. And then also, I may recommend a yearly visit just to make sure that there's no other discomfort issues and that we kind of resolve the problems because sometimes people this doesn't resolve all the problems and you have to go back again and see like okay, what did I miss? Maybe there's something else that we could address to make their discomfort go away. And maybe there's nothing you can do at all, but it's just a good way to kind of get your feet back in the door. I worked with one client, it was just a doctor's office, and they reached out to me like four different times, just one doctor's office on evaluations that they want to do for people that work there. I provided a good experience for them and they wanted me to come back and they thought that the recommendations that I provided were useful and helpful. You really don't have to get your feet in too many doors because once they have a good experience, they're going to want to have you come back as soon as possible. So that's a day in the life of an ergonomist. I'll put a link in the description if you are interested in the course, but I think that's pretty much it. I mean, it's pretty simple to do. You don't really have to have any special skills. You don't have to be certified or anything like that. But I think it is important to take a course on it just so you have a good idea. A lot of people are going to be nervous about this your first time around, but it's not really that hard as long as you know what you're going in with, like what kind of mindset. And the course makes it really easy because it has kind of like step by step directions on what you need to be doing, the questions you need to be asking. And if you're an occupational therapist already, this is going to be super easy for you because you know how to do evaluations, you know how to problem solve and figure out what the main goals that you need to be working on. And I feel like that's really what it's all about, just figuring out what the problems are, how you can solve those problems, and then follow up as needed. All right, guys, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. I will see you in the next one. I hope you have a great day. See you later.